Today's guest is the businesswoman and campaigner who took on the UK government and won twice. But it has come at a huge personal cost. Please welcome Gina Miller. Hi, Gina. Hello, welcome. We just said at the end of that film there, after watching all your campaigning, you know, was it worth it? Was it worth it?
Absolutely. Because, as I think you showed in the film, that nobody is above the law. I didn't set out to take on the Prime Minister or a government. I didn't wake up one morning and think, right, that's what I'm going to do today. I tend to wake up, I've been a campaigner for 30 years, and think, well, is this right? Is it going to affect anybody? Is it going to disadvantage anybody? If someone's breaking the law, who's going to step up and say something? And when nobody else does, I'm just afraid I'm the sort of a nosy Parker who does.
But despite the referendum result, which was majority to leave, to Brexit, you thought, yes, but then politicians then need to be able to vote on triggering Article 50, whether they triggered it or not.
Well, that's actually what it says in the law.
Yeah, so that was your issue.
Yes, yes. But also, it's what it says in the law. But if they hadn't followed the law, then say we triggered Article 50 and we'd started Brexit, all the other member states, or actually anybody we were going to negotiate with in the future, would say, sorry, but you did that illegally. We're actually not going to trade with you now. We're not going to deal with you now. So that was on the international stage.
That's not going to happen, though, is it?
It would
feasibly, that's not going to happen.
Oh,
Germany is never
absolutely.
going to say to us, we're not going to sell you our cars.
Well, yes, because in international treaty law, it was illegal. So we would have been held to account at the International Court.
But isn't this where
Tribunal.
Sometimes now, and I mean, I'm a journalist, but sometimes now I look at Parliament and you know, obviously your good self and the people that surround you when you come out of court, and it looks like some massive sort of student debating society. Everybody's having a little kind of like go about the finer points of this, that and the other. And you've got 17.4 million people who knew exactly what they were voting for. They understand what the word leave is. And here we are, 3.5 minutes, I wish. 3.5 years. 3.5 years later, still, everybody like bickering over these sort of finer points of law. I mean,
but the finer points of law, I'm afraid, matter, because if you're going to buy a house...
But votes matter.
No.
I'm sorry, but
in every part of life, if you leave a flat and you don't pay your what you're due on your telephone bill, on your TV bill, they come after you. So I'm afraid the rule of law in all of this madness, because we are in madness, really does matter. It's one central stabilising element. But can I just make one other thing that's really, really important? If you leave the international bit of it aside, because we don't have a written constitution, we have like a gentleman's agreement. If a precedent had been set that a Prime Minister could bypass Parliament, the people we elect and pay for, then that becomes the precedent. That means in future, any Prime Minister, doesn't matter if you're a Conservative, Labour, whatever it is, any Prime Minister can then use those same powers to bypass Parliament. So then you have to ask, well, what's the point of Parliament?
But there's been loads of sort of things with Parliament that you could have gone to court over. I mean, John Major prorogued Parliament, but why
but
this?
He didn't do it illegally.
The argument with you is that you're very... I mean, when the Brexit vote came in, did you say that it made you feel physically sick? Well, so everyone goes, oh, well, clearly you're a Remainer, and what you're actually just trying to do is to stop the Brexit vote. What would you say to that?
Well, I don't think I did stop the Brexit vote because the MPs then voted through Article 50. I wish they'd had a debate before they did that. Maybe we wouldn't be in the mess we were in now if they'd done that at that stage. They voted through the Withdrawal Act in 2017, and now they're in this mess. But they're in the mess not because I went to court. They're in a mess because they haven't actually put the country, I think, before their own parties and their own seats. That's why I think they're in the mess.
And because you have taken on Brexit and you're against Brexit, you've had a lot of hate aimed towards you. You know, people have seen you as the kind of face of Remain and that you just want Brexit stopped. How bad have the threats against you been?
As bad as they could probably get, in that they're anywhere from, you know, rape threats to death threats and hitmen and people going to jail. Against my children, I have to say, I've been a campaigner for 30 years, and I'm pretty good at departmentalising because I think, well, you don't know who I am. I know what I'm doing. I focus on what I'm doing and why I think it's right what I'm doing. And so it's fine, but unless it's my children. So
and they're 12 and 14.
12, and the little ones are 12 and 14. Then I have a special needs daughter who's 31. But
are the children old enough to obviously understand
They
what's
know,
happening? So
they
how do you reconcile that with protecting your family and them having threats against them and yourself and carrying on with something you're so passionate about?
So I've always told them, and I was brought up this way, and I've told them that, is if you see something you think is wrong, you speak up. It's your duty. If someone falls down, you help them. If you see something... that is the way they know me as their mother, and I'm hopefully bringing them up to see that.
But when you're having death threats,
but
have you ever
I was going to say...
this is not worth
No,
me?
because I worry about the world they will live in if we all stay silent. So...
Do they ever say to you, you know, they'd like you to stop, you know, because they're worried about you?
Well, taking them through, just a couple of weeks ago, through the panic alarm system. We had to have a new system put in the house. And having to take a 12 and a 14-year-old through that system of what you phone, what you do, if mummy is out, whatever, that is terrifying for them. And every so often, we cry together, we hug each other. But I remind them why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I say it's for you and your friends. It's to make sure that we don't end up in a world that's so intolerant.
What about your husband?
Well, my husband knows that I'm a complete and utter interferer. As he says, if the ants could talk on the floor, I'd be talking to them. He is so incredibly supportive because he knows I believe in what I'm doing. He knows I'm very passionate about it. He knows, you know, he's lived through it. You know, the fact that I'm told that I can bring down the city all by myself for exposing what they've been up to. I fight because I get up every morning doing what I think is fair, not because I'm going to be bullied by anybody. Yeah. So I don't like bullies.
That's the kind of emotional cost. I wanted to ask you also, I mean, everybody here, we've all used lawyers at one time in our lives. They're expensive. Who's funding it?
The majority of it has come from either my book and myself. So there's been a couple of crowdfunders, but yes, it's my money.
It's expensive.
It is expensive, but I can't think of anything better to do with it, the money I've worked for, than to fight for my country. So,
well, the good news, everyone, Jeremy Corbyn has announced that Labour is going to back the general election, so this afternoon we'll all be voting at some point in December.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again, Gina. Said, you know, Brexit, so it goes on. But thank you very much for today. Gina Miller, everybody.